Hey folks, and welcome to my channel. This is T. Blake Brady, and today I'm going to be talking about my first impressions of the new Taylor Sheridan, Angelina Jolie film, Those Who Wish Me Dead. Let's do this. Okay, so I just saw Those Who Wish Me Dead, and it's been out for a month or two, and I'm just now getting around to it. In part because I watched an episode or listened to an episode of The Big Picture with Sean Fennessy and Amanda Dobbins and Bill Simmons, and they weren't really into the flick. And so I'm a huge fan of Taylor Sheridan's, though. Wind River, Hell or High Water. I think he had something to do with Bone Tomahawk. There's lots of flicks that I dig that he's done, so I was going to check it out, and I finally got around to it. And I have to say, I liked it. I didn't love it. I think I liked, Wind River better, Hell or High Water. And this one, not as much, but I still really dug it. And I think most people, if you like the kinds of action, mystery, thriller movies that Sheridan makes, then you'll probably dig this as well. So I liked it. I'm going to get into a few reasons that the movie doesn't quite work, but overall I think it's a thumbs up. The production history on it is pretty straightforward. Angelina Jolie, I think, really wanted this to be her project because they announced it in 2019, Taylor Sheridan directing it, and it's got a great cast. John Bernthal, Punisher's in it. And then you got Littlefinger, who Aidan Gillen, his name always escapes me. He will always be Littlefinger to me. It's got lots of great actors. There's Nicholas Hoult and, of course, Angelina Jolie. And that's the main issue for me in this movie is that Angelina Jolie, I don't think really works as this character. As an actress, she's such a person who it's hard to detach her from her persona, her public persona. She's so beautiful and she's so troubled, and like when she acts, there isn't a lot of empathy there. She doesn't. I don't know. There's just something missing for me with Angelina Jolie in the role. I think she does a fine job. I just don't think that it's the right fit. I don't know who I would cast in that role, but it would be someone who wouldn't stand out in a small Montana town. I even asked my wife what she thought, and she thought the same thing. Just looking at her in the movie, she's like, she's way too beautiful to, believe that this person's a smoke jumper or living out some sort of weird out in the woods life with John Bernthal, all of that. Like, it just didn't make a lot of sense. But, if you disagree, say so in the comments. I think that's fine. But it just... If she was going to be in the role, I feel like they needed to make her more rugged, but she is beyond humanly beautiful in everything she's in. And that's not a knock. It's not anything wrong with her, but she feels out of place in the movie. And it's hard to, John Bernthal is a good looking, rugged dude, but he's very rugged, and that's part of his charm. But he still fits. I could still see him being a small town cop, with his wife out in the woods, having a baby, all this other stuff. So if I had to recast it, maybe I would. Or maybe Angelina Jolie being in this gives it a higher profile. And that's why. People like working with Taylor Sheridan. He's a super creative dude. And these films are, I like them all. They're not your standard action movies. They have sort of an independent vibe to them. They're a little more gritty and realistic, and the stakes seem really high, and anything can happen at any time. And I'm going to talk specifically about that in my favorite moment of the flick. Okay, so my favorite moment of the movie has to do with the wife character, John Bernthal's wife, whose name at the moment escapes me. She's pregnant, she's alone, and then these two assassins. We've seen them do it's Aidan Gillen and Nicholas Hoult. They've done some brutal things throughout the movie, and so that they're capable of anything. The film, it's one of the things I like about Taylor Sheridan movies is they establish those things right off the bat. And that they're capable of horrible crimes. So when they go track down John Bernthal's wife, the wife character, I can't remember her name. When they track her down, you think anything that she could die with this, and she has this life growing inside of her, and it's horrifying. And there's just that whole scene is just sort of knuckles in your palm, it's terrifying. And I love that scene. And it pays off later. She does. I mean, my wife was super concerned about whether or not she lived or not. She does, obviously. And later, there is the scene where Aidan Gillen and Littlefinger and she are in a shootout. And they both run out of ammo. And it's 10 seconds of them reloading their guns and then firing at each other. That is the pinnacle of the whole movie. That's, for me, that storyline is kind of the emotional center of this flick, which I guess should say something about how successful it is not. That it's not the Angelina Jolie character. She has a sort of vague history that makes her, you know, she has PTSD, and that's fine and everything, but for me, she's not the center of this flick. It's the more domestic side of things, and that the stakes were really high there. I like the kid, and I'm a father, so I was like, I hope this kid survives. But I kind of knew the whole time that he would. And that kind of lowered things. But all of the other characters, I felt like it's on, and anything could happen to them. So, I don't know. But that scene was amazing. What does this movie remind me of? It reminds me a lot of the other Taylor Sheridan movies. I can't think of many fire in the woods movies, but it has that sort of, you know, bucolic, upper Northwest, big plains country kind of feel to it. Maybe like the TV show Yellowstone. And I can't think of anything right off the top of my head that it reminds me of, but it fits in with this overall Sheridan oeuvre. That's the second time I've used that in one of these videos, that word. So it fits. It makes complete sense to be in this sort of succession of flicks. And they all kind of center around damaged people who are trying to exorcise their demons through their work. And they get, you know, finagled into really terrible situations and have to fight their way out. I think what would have helped this one is if Angelina Jolie and the other characters had more time together. But once they kind of break, once the kind of road diverges, they don't really come back together. So there's very little time together. And it just feels like a very separate movie. There's a lot of things going on in different parts of it. Could this movie have a sequel? It's a really complicated question. The immediate answer is yes, because who says that the people who came after, you know, the forensic accountant the first time couldn't finish the job? I mean, I guess the idea is that the secrets will all come out, but there could be a bigger conspiracy here, or there could be something more dangerous. The question is, would it work? And the answer is not really. Especially with the circumstances of this movie. It's about a forest fire. It seems like it would be difficult to have another plot in this area with this sort of, you know, smoke jumpers. Angelina Jolie, I don't like, this story is over. Maybe with the little kid and other people, I don't know. But it just doesn't feel like it could be a movie that would have a sequel. Although it'd be interesting to see what an attempt. I mean, there was a Sicario too. It'd be interesting to know what they would do with another one of these. I don't think it's been successful enough either to do something to have, you know, to build on that, to build on the movie. It got okay reviews. I think it was over 60% on Rotten Tomatoes. Again, who cares? So it was fairly well reviewed by critics, but, you know, I don't think any of these movies really are going for box office. I don't think they're really looking to be huge hits. I put these kind of in the same compartment that I put Dragged Across Concrete and Brawl on Cell Block 99 and Bone Tomahawk, all of these sort of, they're almost like 1970s action movies that are much smaller in scope. The stakes are relatively low. It's not about saving the world. Like every action movie now is about saving the world and it's comic booky, and these are sort of a response to that because the stakes are much lower. I mean, they're high stakes within the movie, but they're not, the implications are not wide ranging. It affects relatively few characters in a small setting. And I think, yeah, it's interesting. I love this movie. I mean, I love these kinds of movies. This one doesn't work as well, but I feel like I could watch it again. And I watch these for inspiration for my books. And I take from them what I can about characterization. I think that these movies are, especially Taylor Sheridan's directorial, the ones he writes, but also the ones he directs, I really think they do a great job of characterizing people fairly quickly, and they get moving, and then there's a lot of action, and it's all really tense. And I could see more. I mean, obviously, I want to see more movies from Taylor Sheridan, but not necessarily in this universe. And I think that's about it. This movie review / first impressions video went a little longer than I thought, but I dig it. I think you should watch it as well. Those who wish us dead, those who wish me dead. It's a weird fit for Angelina Jolie, but it's an interesting movie. And maybe it wouldn't have gotten greenlit without her, so who knows. But I think you should check it out. I dug it. And get back to me. You can subscribe to the channel. Comment below. Tell me what you think. Do you think Angelina Jolie was a weird fit for this movie? Yes, no, maybe. Anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on First Impressions.